Hello and welcome to episode 418 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking.
From indie film to studio films, documentaries and
everything in between.
How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to
really F them up.
In our very, very humble opinion. We are both writer, directors and producers. And I am Giles Alderson.
And I am Dom Lenoir.
And I am in a hotel room in Hemsley, in Yorkshire. We're filming tomorrow. And I'm in a very echoey room, which I'll try and take out in the edit so you won't notice. And Dom, you are in...
bedroom?
You're in bedroom. Yep. Good.
Yep.
You can't beat these echoey hotels.
Yeah.
They love it, don't they?
Doing editing.
Absolutely. Doing editing. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening. On today's episode, we have the director, Austin Peters. He has gone from music videos to short films to making his debut feature film starring Elizabeth Banks, and the wonderful Dom Lenoir sat down for a chat with him. Didn't you, Dom?
I did.
Tell us what our audience will garner from this episode.
Well, we'll learn how to make a thrilling, independent noir thriller.
Mm-hmm.
We will learn how to make a debut feature that gets international distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Shooting in America, which is always very exciting.
Ooh.
And also working with major stars like Elizabeth Banks.
Oh, it's going to be a classic, another classic. I haven't listened yet because I haven't edited it. I will do so later. I'm up really early for the shoot, but we thought we'd do the intro now because Dom's in the middle of editing.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of prepping and I need to go eat with the crew.
To be fair, I had a lovely day, so I've got to do the work.
What do you mean you had a lovely day? Don't rub it in. What did you do?
Went out to the Lido, I sat in the sun,
What?
I had a coffee.
Did you?
Had a nice brunch. Yeah, it was a good...
What did you do? You sat by the Lido? You didn't get in this time?
No, I got in. I went to the sauna as well.
Oh, you did get in?
Yeah.
Did you?
It's
You went for a swim?
bloody
Was it a
freezing.
naked swim?
It's only... Yeah, very naked. It's
Wow.
It's 14 degrees now, which is actually... Even though it doesn't sound that bad, it is technically winter swimming and it is bloody cold. Yeah.
It's freezing. I don't know how you do it.
I don't know.
You've asked me a few times and I've said,
Yeah.
not for me.
When we get to 500 episodes, Giles will come in for a winter swim.
Right, that's it. I'm quitting at 499. I'm not doing it. No one wants to see that. The audience aren't clamouring out for me to getting a cold water, freezing cold winter swim.
Everyone wants to see that.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not the first thing on their mind. They want to know how to make films.
Send out those tweets if you want to see Giles come for a winter swim.
If any come, if we get 25, I will do it.
Okay.
Right?
That's the week's campaigning done.
Yeah, exactly. 25 retweets, all right?
Clear my
25
schedule, Margaret.
Margaret.
Not that I have a Mrs.
If only you had a
Margaret.
PA or a Mrs.
If I did have a PA, I would definitely have them called Margaret or...
Yes.
Or... Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably Margaret. Yeah.
Or Dave. Yes, so I will. If we do, I will. In fact, I will. I don't mind. I'll get in it. I just don't want to. I don't see the point. But I get why you would. I like happy to play football in the rain, in the snow. I'll film in the snow, in the rain. I don't care. Let's go make something. It's like exciting. But maybe when I do it, do you know what? All right, you will like this. On New Year's Day, or was it Christmas Day? I think it was New Year's Day in Cornwall.
Yeah.
I swam in the sea.
Well, that's it. I mean, it doesn't get... It's very little difference between that temperature and...
Right.
Yeah, like, I mean, that probably would have been about 6 or 8 degrees, which is
I did
damn cold.
cheat and had a wetsuit on.
Oh,
However, the water sneaked down the edge and it was the worst.
Oh,
you can
it
feel
did.
it slowly slipping,
yeah.
sliding all the way down to your crack. It's no fun.
yeah. No.
fun.
We
No
don't
one wants
judge
that.
wetsuit use. Just not publicly anyway.
Not publicly. Anyway, this is we're here to talk about Austin Peters' film, not just wetsuits and skinny dipping.
Different kinds of skincare.
Different kind of skincare. Looking after your skin is important. So the film Skincare, which is out very soon, by the way, has been doing brilliantly well in America and on the festival circuit.
Skincare today, gone tomorrow.
It is about a famed aesthetician, which means, Dom?
Aesthetic-tician.
called Hope Goldman's her skincare business. It faces sabotage when rival Angel Vergara opens a boutique across the street. Aided by her friend Jordan, Hope seeks to uncover who's trying to ruin her reputation. It stars Elizabeth Banks, as we've mentioned. It also stars Luis Pullman, Louis Garrido Mendez, Michelle J. Rodriguez, Nathan Fillion, Eric Palladino, John Billingsley, and Ella Balinska. Dom, you've seen this film. Tell our audience a little bit about it.
Well, it's a sort of I kind of term it in the Under the Silver Lake territory of like one of those, and that's one of the interesting things we talked about on the podcast, is this idea of a noir that's kind of this narcissistic kind of criminal underbelly that's actually strangely in plain sight, and it's not all at night time and it's not all hidden away. It's kind of operating under this sort of narcissistic umbrella, and this is a great sort of example of that, like people that are not what they seem, and this idea that you can see the sort of the glossy sunny daytime version of America that's actually all this other stuff sort of going on in the background.
Amazing. Look forward to seeing that. It's coming out in a couple of weeks. Austin is from New York. Austin Peters, the director and writer. And he has a very distinct docu-style by the looks of his work, looking through all of his thing, which it adds this sort of layer, this dirty layer underneath all his films. It makes them real, makes them really interesting, and has a sense of wonder behind the visuals that he does. He's like made so many cutting-edge music videos and shorts, including his latest for Major Lazer. He's basically worked for bands like Haim, Bastille, ID, made shorts for ID, Vogue, and American Express, to name a few. But we thought this would be a great time for you to hear how and why it took 10 years to get this film made, what it's like working with superstars on your debut movie, and how he actually directed it. So Dom sat down, had a brilliant chat with him.
Yep.
So here it is.
Sitting down now.
How's the sound, Dom? Is that all right?
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm in New York, so there's some, street ambience. Yeah.
The odd ambulance and other mayhem.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So how are you doing? How's everything feeling with the release?
Oh, it's good. We're kind of in the midst of it right now. We just sort of did our first run of screenings in LA, and now I'm in New York, and we start those tonight for the week, and then on Friday it's out everywhere.
Amazing. I mean, are you
North America, at least? Yeah.
Are you excited when it sort of comes out and it gets to that reception, or is it like a moment of nerves and sort of anticipation what people are going to sort of make of the film?
Exciting, and it's been pretty it's pretty rewarding, initially just getting to screen the movie, especially for people that I don't know and people that I haven't met and who aren't connected to the film in any way, and getting to see some of them react, the way that I would hope, and that, I like to think about like young me, and if I would like this movie, and so when I get to meet people that I see that and they are reacting the way that I think young me would react, that makes me feel like, okay, yeah, we did this right.
Well, I really liked. Let's sort of talk about the tone a little bit to start off with. I really liked the tone. It sort of had that underbelly of LA vibe that was just very like subtle but well done. It sort of reminded me a bit of Under the Silver Lake, or that kind of almost noir elements at time, with the sort of the glossy, superficial element of the beauty industry with this much sort of darker underbelly. So I guess it's a great sort of core audience for you. Can we sort of talk about how the project sort of came to you, and sort of whether it was in that kind of tone in its initial stages, or if that's something that's sort of built?
Yeah, the project came to me initially in a draft that the writers had written and had been working on, and they sort of brought it to me to see if I would be interested in directing it and working on it with them. And immediately, one of the things that excited me about it was this atmosphere that it had. And it had this like very unique sort of, I called it Southern California Gothic, like atmosphere, where it felt very weird, but also very real. And in a way, I think that things like that feel a little bit off kilter, at least with respect to Los Angeles, then they start to feel hyper real or something,
Yeah.
So I think that's what one of the first things that I responded to in it. And of course, the story and the characters and the way it kind of all, flies off the rails a bit at the end. All that really attracted me to it. And I think we always really understood what the tone was meant to be. And amazingly, when I spoke to Elizabeth the first time, she totally understood, and within 15 minutes of us talking on Zoom after she'd read the script, I realized that we totally had the same vision for what the film should be like. Which was great, and was just, I never had any doubt, she's who we imagined when we were writing this. So I never had any doubt that it would be perfect for it. But that definitely was an incredible reassurance, because not everyone did understand what the tone was, certainly, when we were talking about it.
I mean, what was, because that's always frustrating when it's very clear in your head what the style of a film is going to be, like how it's going to look, how it's going to sound, all those elements, and people just aren't getting the vision. They're like, oh, is it like this? Is it like that? I mean, what's your process for pitching? Do you like to use mood boards, or is it sort of story discussions?
I definitely use a lot of visual stuff for sure to convey it, but even that can be a bit confusing, at least for this film, in terms of what the tone is, because I think that was the thing that yes, like I said, some people had a hard time understanding what that was. And so, we always said it was a thriller, and that's what I think it is. And this comedy sort of hangs on it, but the thriller engine was kind of the most important part, and making it an anxiety thriller and making it feel very anxious was really important. And then, I've said this a few times talking about the movie, but a friend of mine, a peer of mine, told me after he read it, oh, it's a sunshine noir. And I sort of didn't really know what that was. And I think a lot of people disagree on what that is.
I'm not sure what sunshine, I've heard of neo noir, but talk me through a sunshine noir.
Well, like I said, I think people disagree about this, and I'm hoping that like when any of this stuff comes out, that I don't get absolutely crucified for like my interpretation of what a sunshine noir is. But
this is a mid-afternoon noir.
Yeah, a sunshine noir is like a noir. It's usually in Los Angeles, where sort of the seedy underbelly and all the sort of real deep darkness of noir, and the underground has come up into like the bright day, hot daylight sun, where everyone's becoming sunburned and becoming confused. And so it's a little bit some of the tropes are like, that it's a slightly unreliable protagonist, and maybe it can do slightly more extreme tonal oscillations than I think a traditional noir. So it can be a little bit funnier, and it can be a little bit more surrealistic and weird. And yeah, that sort of just, I think, interestingly enough, just like the pairing of those two words, when we started saying that to people, they suddenly would react like, oh, I get it. Even if they don't know what that was, but just sunshine and noir together, people would be like, oh yeah, I understand.
Well, I think I'm a big fan of sort of noir in general, but I like the offshoots. I like I like the sort of modern noirs. I like drama, slightly more drama, emotional noir. And I think what's really interesting about this, which is what you kind of picked up on, is the fact that it's all happening in plain daylight. There are these, like, I think that makes it more scary in a way, and like more worrying is the fact that these narcissistic sort of characters are so villainous, but they're just everyday people that just are completely. It's almost like the sort of the serial killer just hiding in plain sight vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's really interesting about the story in general, is the fact that it does. I mean, it focuses so heavily on sort of narcissism and how far those sort of beauty standards can can go. I mean, was that one of the sort of things that really interested you in the sort of story?
Yeah, I think I definitely. I mean, I think thematically it was so much about image, and sort of like this obsession with image and the image of success and projecting the image of success, and how, um, especially everywhere, but especially in the United States, I feel that we really like value the image of success so highly that we value it even more than actual success oftentimes, and so it sort of became early on, it very much became this sort of exploration in terms of watching this character sort of spiral out about how far someone's willing to go to protect their own self-image and protect their own image of success and their own skin, which is the first thing that the world sees and judges you on.
So, I mean, let's just sort of talk about how everything developed from the writing stage. You got the script, you like the story. What's your next sort of steps as a director, writer, in terms of, I mean, you've obviously mentioned that a lot of the tone was there in person, but I'm sure as a director you sort of had ideas and thoughts, maybe, tweaks, those kinds of things. So what were your first sort of instincts when you sort of thought, I'm going to do this one?
It was such a long process of working on the script, the three of us working on it together, and then we got our producers attached, and Jonathan and Logan, and they had a lot of really wonderful script notes, and so we sort of talked about it extensively for such a long time, trying to get it to what it is you see on screen now, and then of course in the process of pre-production and all those steps, and logistical reasons, it has to be rewritten, and the script is really an opportunity to make the movie before you make the movie, and much more inexpensive than making a film. So like someone gave me some really great advice that you just want to try and get that as close as you can to the best version of the movie, and not leave things to be figured out later. And I think I think we really took that to heart, and we worked hard to get it to a place where we felt good about it, and we still of course discovered a ton of things in the process, and things changed in the process, as I would want them to, but we definitely took the time. We took a lot of time with the script, getting it to where we felt really good about it, and then getting it to a place that when we submitted it to Elizabeth, she accepted it, or that she decided she wanted to come on to the process.
So I mean that's a really great process of working hard on the script. I've just been doing rewrites as well. It's a long process, and it is never ending. I mean, it'd be interesting to sort of know we've mentioned problem solving, obviously, like plot issues and things that don't make sense. That's obviously like the sort of the backbone of any, looking at making sure a script's at the right level. But can we talk a little bit about sort of characterizations, maybe some of the things that you developed as you were going through that polishing process that made it a good, took it from a good script up to, a brilliant script that's actor appealing?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of the stuff is the writers are old friends, and we have pretty similar tastes. So I think that that's part of the reason why we so immediately were connected about what type of film it was, and what the execution would be like, and all that sort of stuff. And then I think when you start letting other people into it, that becomes less so, and the producers were able to see the film that we wanted to make, and they saw the same film, so they came on. But I think, something that I certainly became super clear to me in this process, more so than in other projects that I had written, was that this script has to be a document that anyone can read and understand as closely to the actual film, see as close to the actual film as possible. And you can't expect them to have the same frame of references or cinematic vocabulary. When we read it, we saw X, Y, and Z films, and then other people read it and they saw something totally different, and so once I understood the discrepancy between those sort of those sort of films that we were imagining versus what other people might, latch onto when they're trying to imagine it. I sort of understood that what was present on the page really had to work, you know, as a we really had to be thorough about what was happening and what the characters were experiencing and what we're meant to understand and see in these scenes, and what we're meant to not understand and see. And I think, yeah, and then I think additionally, just always working on the script for as long as we did, there's sprawling versions of it with way more characters and plot lines and scenes and places and a lot of times that sort of stuff falls out when you're in prep or budgeting because you can't do it and you say, okay, we'll just fuck it, but I think most of that stuff fell out earlier for us because we were always trying to make this thing taut and fast and the what's the expression, the best machine has the fewest parts, so
yeah. I mean that's such a valuable piece of advice as well. I mean that's something that it's quite easy I think to be guilty of in any kind of writing process, is sometimes like overdoing. Okay, we've got to have so many of these moments for a character. Sometimes you have double beats, similar scenes or similar moments that are sort of playing out because it's something that's important to you. And actually, like, by only having that scene once and having lots of non-variants of it, it's more powerful when it does hit. And streamlining is often like a very, very sort of powerful tool for sure.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you do it right, you don't have to hit it so many times. And that was something that we discovered even later in the process. There were some things in the edit that came out because we realized, we already know
we've covered that moment. Yeah, that's it.
It's not entertaining for an audience to be told the same thing again,
Yeah.
In fact, they resent it,
Yeah. So how did you get your producers on board? I mean, did they come on before you sort of went out to Elizabeth? Is that the...
Yeah, they were. So I was introduced to Jonathan Schwartz, and I had a concert documentary, and he had a narrative film at Sundance the same year. So we had sort of been in and around the same space, but didn't know one another, and so we were introduced, and he had made a lot of films that I really admired. Like the Funny Games US was the one that I could not believe that he was involved in, but he's made Like Crazy and just a ton of movies and so we met and I told him about the project and what I thought about it, and he said, okay, let me read it, and he read it, and then he was really interested in it and said, let's start talking about this. Who could we cast? Who could we, and so that's kind of how that process started. And then when we felt like, the writers, myself, Jonathan, and then he brought in Logan Lerman, who's his, who wanted to produce this with him. And when we all felt good about it, then that's when we decided, okay, it's time to start going to talent. And we knew we had to go to the character of Hope first because the whole movie just revolves around her. So we had to cast everyone off of whoever that was.
And was that a process where you were kind of partially or fully funded, or you had sales agents attached? So okay, so I mean that's a great. I suppose it's a great compliment to all of you that's taken seriously, because it can be very difficult when you haven't got the money in place to get the actors interested in a project or putting their name towards something.
None of the above. I mean, I think there's a couple. There's a couple sides to this, which is, number one, it's that Jonathan had done a lot of movies that people knew, and he has a good reputation, and he's that if you sign onto a movie with him, you're not gonna be put in a precarious situation, or it's gonna get done, and they've won lots of awards, and Logan too is, super smart guy and is obviously super visible as he's an actor. And so, they assign a certain credibility to it, and I would say the other part of it is that I think in the United States, at least, that's how a lot of independent films are made, is that, you attach a famous person and then you find someone to pay for it.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know,
it's the same in the UK. It's just, it's good to know that it still sort of happens in America, because the general sort of thought over here is it's much harder to get through the agent system in America, to attach stars and those kind of things. So it's refreshing to hear that you're still able to do that.
well, it's certainly not me, if I'm being totally honest.
Of course. Yeah.
It's definitely my producers were able to get the script, to Elizabeth and to her team, and to their credit, they are passionate and believe in it, and put their full weight behind it, so it could land on her desk.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the music before, and also the visuals before we sort of get on to Elizabeth, because I mean the music immediately sets the tone. I mean it's really like, it just gives you that eeriness. But there is also, and if I'm correct, you're from a sort of commercials background a little bit. And visually that was like so apparent in the sort of the first kind of shots. Like it was all very like slick, nice images, like setting a mood, setting a world. So yeah, can you talk about those two things?
Yeah, the music, first and foremost, was something that sort of was always like really important to me, and I knew that it was going to sort of have this like sonic landscape of the way that it feels like being in a city, where you sort of spend in Los Angeles, specifically in the case of this film, where when you go into different spaces and different cars, you hear different music and radios, all playing kind of different genres of music, and they might not exactly align with whatever you as a person are experiencing in that moment in your own emotional journey. They may even play against it, and that's sort of like one of the sonic qualities of living in a city, and I really wanted that to sort of come through in the film. And then the other thing that was super important from the jump was the score, and getting the right kind of score to set the right kind of tone for the film, because the tone is so specific. And so I feel very lucky to have worked with Fatima Al-Qadiri, who did the score, and she had done the score for a film called Atlantics, or Atlantique, which was from 2019 and won the grand prize at Cannes and was Mati Diop's movie. And I had watched this movie, which was a sort of a Senegalese French movie, and I had watched this film when it came out, and I'd just been so smitten by the whole film, but also really the music. And even then I started thinking, oh, I wonder if this person would ever be interested in doing this movie, which is so different from that movie. But I was just interested to hear what she could come up with for this world, and she sort of was, someone that I was aware of a little bit outside of that film and her music, and we sort of, were removed by a few different people, and we had lived in New York at the same time, and so we reached out about it, and her and I had a meeting, and this was towards the end of the process. We had picture locked and everything, and so we had a meeting, and I shared with her the film, and we had no time, and we just started. She just got right into it, and basically for, I don't know, 6 weeks or however long it took. I would have to ask her, but she just basically, I just had my AirPods on all day, and her voice was just in my head talking to me about the different elements of the music and different cues, and because there's obviously a ton of music in the film and a ton of score, and so I think we tried to do something that starts one way and then transforms sort of with the film, and it's sort of like her mind music, the character of Hope's sort of mind music, and this harp, which is very sort of delicate and feminine, and that's kind of the leading instrument in the beginning. And then as the film goes on, as Hope sort of descends, into the underworld and into her own sort of inferno, the music sort of transforms into this almost like demented club music, where it's like sort of takes on the vocabulary of a lot of sort of, sounds that are more aligned with sort of rave culture and club music, like the trance pad and those synth pads, and then that sort of then takes us through through the final act of the film.
And the visuals. I mean, it's just because the commercial side,
Yes.
that was the other thing that really fascinated me. I mean, especially like the first, because I mean, I suppose in commercials you learn how to tell a story in a very precise visual way in a very short amount of time. And I think setting the mood of a movie and the tone, and actually getting interest at the start, and making the audience feel sort of safe, like they're not going to walk into something that's amateur. I mean, you did a great job of that sort of setup, with the, I don't know, it was a mixture of the music and the visuals. So just talk about that a little bit, and how you wanted to shoot this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I worked with Christopher Ripley, who's a really, really amazing DP. And he shot a handful of movies, but him and I met on a music video, and he has shot some of the biggest videos and certainly a lot of commercials. And we started talking about this project early on when I was, and I had talked to a few other DPs, and he was really, really eager, and he's such an amazing guy and such a brilliant guy and has such a buoyant spirit, which is uncommon for a person who spends 360 days a year on a film set, basically, or whatever, however many it is. He's constantly shooting, and we really just took a ton of time beforehand, way before prep, where Chris just stopped taking jobs, and he would just come over to my house, and we would watch movies, and we would look at photo books, and we would do page turns through the script. And we knew that we were going to have so little time to shoot this movie, 18 days with the actors. So
wow,
we really wanted to be super prepared going in, knowing that things were going to change, knowing that we would pivot on the day and find new things that inspired us. We wanted to have a really thorough plan for everything. So we were never waiting on us. And we also talked a lot about what was the way to do it the most economically, and what was the way. In every scene, we would kind of try and do this exercise. We never were going to cover any scene with one, because we knew we had to leave, scissor points in the edit. But we always sort of said, okay, well, where, if we can only shoot this scene as one shot, where do we put the camera, and how do we move it to tell the story of what's happening in this scene, and really trying to challenge ourselves to do that exercise. And then, then what's the next one, and then and so on. And so for a lot of the scenes, we could only do three different angles, or 3 shots, or 2 shots, 2 angles.
Yeah.
And fortunately the cast was so amazing that it allowed us to maintain this real breakneck schedule. And we just wanted to be ready for them and be prepared for them, because, they are so good. I think that, one of the other things that we did in our process of prep, and then on the back end as well, was that we worked a ton with Dante Pasquinelli, who's an amazing colorist, and someone who I've worked with very closely on a lot of other projects. And Dante and Chris and I just, early on, we created LUTs. We still were testing the footage when we were shooting. And then in the color process, really got into like achieving this specific look. And that involved shooting film plates for almost every scene, just a couple different frames. So we would have that as a reference point for the digital, and then printing some of the digital to film, and then kind of pulling all these different qualities, because we really wanted the film to have this sort of like, timeless and gritty and beautiful photochemical look, and it was just, and we tried so hard to figure out a way to shoot film, or to shoot it for only the sunlight scenes, or something, just some way to make it work. And ultimately the thing that stopped us from doing so is the schedule.
Yeah.
And it was just, and the cast, and knowing that, not unlike a music video, which we've all done a lot of, when the shoot was over, the cast was going to go off and do their next
movies.
And we would be left with the edit. And if it didn't work, that would only be our fault, and not there. And getting them back to do reshoots was,
difficult when you're not Marvel.
out of the question for all intents and purposes. Not that they wouldn't do it, but it's just very challenging.
It is.
happen.
Yeah. No, I've done a movie that's very similar sort of day's length, and you're basically shooting at least 4 to 8 pages a day, sometimes action. You know, sometimes you don't have more than like 1 or 2 or 3 takes if you're lucky, like per different angle.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, were you getting an actress like Elizabeth as well? It's quite difficult to sometimes get rehearsal time, or, I mean, what was that sort of side of things? Did you have much time to discuss?
Yeah, we did have a little bit of time to discuss. You know, I think on every film ever, everyone always wants more, though Elizabeth, you know, did this movie. We never thought she would do a movie this small to begin with, because it's so much smaller than what she does. And
yeah, but it doesn't look it.
Well, thank you. But the upside is entirely creative. You know, there's nothing like there's not an incredible monetary upside or, you know, any other sort of upside. So it felt like we were so shocked that she would do it. But to her credit, you know, she doesn't have to do anything, I don't think, you know. And so if she's going to take the time, and I think if everyone's going to take the time to do this little film, they want it to be good. That's the point of doing it, you know. And so that's the point of everyone doing it, really, you know. And so everybody wants to make sure that they put in the work when they have the time. And we actually pushed. We were supposed to start on January 3rd or something, which would have been psychotic and an act of self-destruction. But we actually pushed a week or two. I can't remember how long, because Elizabeth wanted more time, and she wisely, you know, was like, this is not a good plan. I want to take more time to get, because she was doing press for Cocaine Bear, and so that and then she wanted to take time to learn how to really do facials on people, which she did. And so we got together a handful of times and went through the script and talked about it, and, you know, talked about the different scenes, and those were really really helpful sessions, you know, that we could talk about it and stuff, and just understand kind of what we both were wanting out of each scene and expecting from each scene. And you know, like I said, true to our first Zoom, we were super aligned basically the whole time. And so that was helpful in those processes, that process. And there was no sort of extreme left turns. And then there was another time that Elizabeth and Lewis and I got to get together and go through it once together. And then I did the same process with Lewis separately, where he would come over to my house and we would talk about it, or then he would be in Texas or New Mexico, I can't remember where, shooting outer range, and we would FaceTime when he was at home at night or not shooting or whatever, and we would look at photos, and he would make videos of himself and voice recordings and send them to me to sort of try and find the voice of the character and find some of the sort of life coaching beats.
You tell yourself no one wants your college era band tees, but on Depop, people are searching for exactly what you've got. You once paid a small fortune for them at merch stands. Now, a teenager who calls them vintage will offer that same small fortune back. Sell them easily on Depop. Just snap a few photos and we'll take care of the rest. Who knew your questionable music taste would be a money-making machine? Your style can make you cash. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
That seems to be one of the sort of common elements that we hear on the podcast from the bigger actors, is basically that it's discussions. It's not really like, how can I play this scene? You know, the director saying, you've got to do it like this. It's just understanding what the thought is behind, you know, the subtext, and, you know, where the character is in any one stage. And it's kind of allowing that freedom, but having the answers to, you know, those questions. I mean, does that sort of feel correct to how you were in the rehearsals and on set?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. That's certainly the process of it. I know that's everyone's process is different. Every director and every actor's process is totally different, because everyone's different people. But but for me, that's certainly how, you know, that's how we did this. That's how I liked doing it. I for me, it's important to leave that space, and for the actor to add something to it and to discover something new, and for us to push the scene into a new space that maybe we couldn't have originally envisioned or couldn't have originally experienced in the rehearsal process. But once we're in the space and on the day, you want to be open to discoveries and lightning striking, and so how each actor gets to that point, I think is different. Everybody needs sort of a different level of support and a different level of information, and I think some actors want less and some actors want more, and I think that's really also the major job of the director, and what I found my job was learning how much everybody needed and how they needed it, and then trying to get it for them so they were able to do their best work, because they're all such phenomenal actors, and I certainly can't take any credit for any of that, but it's just about creating a situation where they can excel.
What do you think was the hardest part of the shoot? Maybe some scenes that you either had to compromise or adapt based on how it was in the script, and maybe like just a sort of a thought on that.
Well, I think in the actual shooting process, I think that in the actual shooting process, I think once a week we had a day that was too big,
Yeah.
And that was no one's fault, because Chris, the DP, and I mean, it was my fault if anyone's, but it was Chris, the DP, and Paul Silver, the first AD, and I would talk on the weekends all weekend and rework the schedule to try and figure out, okay, how can we make these days doable? Because they just weren't doable.
Yeah.
And that was so critical to the process. But inevitably, there would be one day every week where it just was still too much, and it couldn't be, because I just refused to give up, the elements of the story.
Yeah.
And those were challenging days. Once a week, we would have a very challenging day like that. Every day was challenging, but that was especially hard. But in the end, I think we were able to get all of that stuff. There was nothing that we didn't get, in completion. Sure, maybe you wish, I had a shot of this or a different take of this, but there was nothing that we just absolutely just outright missed.
Yeah, that's great. So just to sort of as a last parting thought, because there's been a brilliant chat. Any advice you could give your younger self in the industry?
Yeah, that's hard. The only thing that's popping into my head right now, I mean, the first thing would be just to stick with it, because I think resilience is such a huge part of filmmaking, and just being able to not, just being a cockroach, so to speak, and just not being able to be exterminated is really critical.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing I would have told myself, though I don't know, or write more regularly, write more frequently, because that is so helpful, and it's exhausting, but it's such a helpful part of the process. And when no one wants to give you a script, that's how you get a script, So.
Yeah, develop it yourself. I mean, it's such good advice, and I think even when you think you're really good at script writing, all it takes is just to send it to someone outside your team, and and then just be like, there's so much that can be done, even though it's great, and it's just such a process, isn't it?
And invite feedback. That's the other thing, is that it's invite feedback, and not everyone is going to be right, but even when they're wrong, try to listen and try to hear what's behind it, and see if there's something you can learn, because you can learn something from almost any situation in this process, and I continue to try and do that.
Amazing. Well, thanks very much, Austin. Best of luck with Skincare. It's a fantastic film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And
thank you so much.
I think we're timing this with the UK release, so that'll be exciting.
Absolutely. So nice to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Lovely.
There we go. That was Dom and Austin Peters, and a lovely chat about their film Skincare. Thank you very much for listening. We love you very deeply, don't we, Dom?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, good. If you haven't seen Dom's Joker 2 promos, which he produced recently, it's brilliant. It's on his socials. Go have a look. Director Dom Lenoir on Instagram. They're really fun for Joker. Follow them.
Thank you. Hey, there was a great guy that recommended me that one.
Yeah, there was. Really great guy. And it was recommended to me by a really great woman. So yeah, it was really interesting him, and maybe we didn't touch on it too much in the episode, but the fact that it took him 10 years to get his first feature film made. It took me 10 years to make my first feature film from when I wanted to make one. And I started writing, actually going out there and going, right, I'm making a feature. 10 years. And in that 10 years was painful, it was heartbreaking, and so many things went wrong, and I didn't know enough, and I hadn't learnt enough. And I probably blamed other people, and at the end of the day, I was just too young and didn't know what I was doing, and I hadn't learnt enough.
I think that's not anymore.
Not anymore. I think it's very important that you do.
Well, on the young thing, I mean.
Oh, right, yeah. Do you know what would help if I got into some really cold water? That would really help.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than on set and in hot water. And I think it's really important that you do go out there and do as much as you can, get your hands on filming stuff. Because what I did was I practiced constantly, like Austin Peters has done. As you make music videos, you make short films. I did that. Did exactly the same. Whereas Dom kind of came at it the opposite way. The first thing he did make was a feature, which is fascinating. And then learnt from that, and then started making promos and everything.
Eventually made something good.
And then made a really great movie. It happens. It's fine. It happens. Which is called Winter Age, and my first one was The Dare. By the way, me and Dom are doing a live event coming up, aren't we?
Yes, yep. It's a Funny
Life Film Festival.
We're a funny couple of guys.
And we're a funny couple of guys. And on the 19th of October in London, we will be live. Come join us. It'll be live recording of the podcast. We're chatting to 4 of the feature filmmakers, and I think most of them it's their first feature, but not the Shakespeare Sisters, because they've made a few. And we have 4 of them coming down to chat to me and Dom, and we're doing kind of like our Make Your Film event, but it's for the festival especially. But we were like, well, why don't we record it? So if you want to come down, link to that will be in the show notes. It's called Funny Life Film Festival, and it's on the 19th of October. It's a Saturday or a Sunday? Can you remember?
I feel like it's a Saturday.
I feel like it might be. Let's have a quick look now. Saturday it is, you were right.
Yeah.
It's in the afternoon. I can't remember what time. Do you remember what time? I should have looked. I should have prepped this. My internet's not working.
God knows.
I don't know. Anyway,
I just got podcast Louise Festival Saturday in my diary. So there we go.
Brilliant. Really helpful. Thanks. Yes, my Wi-Fi is not working right now, so good luck to me editing this podcast tonight. So if you don't hear this, you won't know if I'm saying this. If you do hear this, then I found Wi-Fi. Yes. So if you're feeling like you're struggling at the moment, like why aren't people taking me seriously? Why can't I get my film made? Why am I not getting the right producers or funders? Well, it just takes time. It just can take time to get it right. So don't worry too much.
I think even people at the top end, like the very top end, have struggles in getting stuff made. So I think you have to just keep going and find a great community and a good team to collaborate with. And as Giles says, do everything you can and keep your toes in the game. Yeah,
absolutely, but not in the cold water. But what is... Yes. But it is like, even the fact that you're listening to this podcast is the starting place. Come to networking events. Go meet filmmakers. Chat to them. Set up WhatsApp groups. You be the leader of that. Make things happen. Don't expect anything back in return, but make things happen, because then things grow from that. The amount of work me and Dom have had that is recommendations is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And by you sitting in your room on your own...
It's all recommendations.
Yeah, getting disappointed and going, why is no one working with me? Well, it's because you're not getting out there. You're not going to the events and being on panels or whatever you can get your hands on. Whatever it is, just do it. Make it work. Learn to edit. Learn to be on set. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, just as Dom has done, just as Austin Peters has done, it is your duty to...
send the elevator back down.
No, the skincare range, whatever it is. Thank you, Austin Peters.
I didn't have a good one for
Did
that.
you not? I thought Dom's going to have
I was thinking about it, and I, was like, it's in the...
Yeah, it's like face...
Yeah, it's a hard one to link.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. All right. So if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it's your duty to
send the visible signs of aging back down. Using skincare products, like today's guest.
Stretch your skin over your own face.
I feel like a face automatically does that.
What would happen if we had a face-off, Dom? Like, if we took your face and put it on mine, and my face off put it on yours.
That's a very good idea for a reimagining of a franchise.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Extraordinarily good.
I don't know if anyone's not seen Face-Off. So that's John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, right? What is fascinating about that is their wives didn't notice, right? And you go, well, the body hasn't. It's just the face that did.
Yeah.
Really, really odd. But anyway, me and you could do that, Dom.
Yeah. I think our wives might notice. Don't have a wife.
Don't have a wife, but if you did, she wouldn't notice.
She wouldn't notice. But why? He's slightly taller, this one.
Well, thank you very much for listening. We will see you next Tuesday, as always, when we have a very special Business of Film episode with myself, Stephen Follows, and Jennifer Handorf.
Some other horrors.
Yeah, talking about...
Because it's a horror episode.
It is. Well done, Dom, for clarifying. And not just being mean. We are doing a horror special. It is the facts and figures from what has been happening on horror films, the biggest genre in UK filmmaking and probably around the world. We'll find out. Stephen will have so many facts and figures on this. So we're recording it next Sunday. That'll be live for you next Tuesday.
For me?
It's going to be amazing. For you. Do join us next Saturday the 19th as well at the Funny Life Film Festival in London. Come join us, come say hello, come pick our brains about making movies, come be social, and we'll introduce you to other people who are amazing.
Come for a face-off
as well. Come for a face-off. Come for a skin-off. Let's see what we can do. Until next Tuesday, thank you very much, Dom.
Thank you very much, Charles.
We will see you then. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Adios.